And how are things people will learn on this course different from others?
How are they different? I think the key thing would be that a number of the other foot and ankle courses that I've sort of seen advertised would have a strong biomechanical bias, so that it would be on assessment for orthotics, and it would be looking at exactly how the foot moves in terms of walking. And the key thing is, as soon as we put our foot on the ground, everything changes. It brings in the knee, the hip, the lumbar spine, the thoracic spine. So in terms of how it's different, there isn't a strong biomechanical bias to it. But everything that we do translates into function. We're always thinking about, what would this foot do? What would this foot do in standing? As we put weight on it, what does it do? As we stand on it, what would it do? How would it work? And so you're always thinking, how can I improve that? How can I maximise it to the realms of normal?
Yeah.
So it's different in that there's not a strong biomechanical bias, but there is. It's very anatomical based. Lots of hands-on assessment. It breaks the foot down into the rear foot, mid-foot, forefoot, which again other courses often don't do, and you're able to accurately assess all of those. So it takes the foot and you can assess it in much more detail than you could before. So plantar flexion, which was just one movement, you can break that into lots of different regions and work out exactly where the problem is, and then mobilise and treat that accordingly. And it's quite interesting the results that you get and the things that people start to discover at the end of the course. Whereas they kind of, oh my god, I never would have got that before, I never would have felt that, I've never been taught that before. So I don't know if that sort of answers the question, but it's not strong on biomechanics, strong on function, and understanding when you see a movement, where's that coming from, is that normal, and people by the end of the course can kind of make those judgments, treat accordingly, and then get far better results with feet than they were before. Is that okay?
Yeah, excellent.
Great, thanks very much.
Cheers.
As I said, the other thing that we cover quite a lot of is that sense of touch, that sense of feel. So that as we move the different areas, we're working out, is it a local restriction, is it a soft tissue restriction, so therefore we can use local soft tissue techniques or local mobilisations, or is it a more proximal problem? And so say for example, dorsiflexion is always an interesting one. So as we dorsiflex that foot, we notice that it's stiff. We can't get to plantar grade in that foot, right? And so there's something limiting it. So the question would be, is it potentially a joint? Is it forefoot? Is it midfoot? Is it rear foot? Or is it soft tissue further up? And what we work out in this foot is actually a soft tissue further up. So if I hold that joint at the end of its range, and I found the point that is restricting it in terms of the muscle, and I just lightly press on that point, what you can see is that foot is just very lightly plantar flexing. So therefore, treating all the joints around here is not going to have an effect on this foot. What it is actually that point there, and I'm just pressing lightly on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off. So in terms of this foot, the most effective treatment to improve dorsiflexion is to treat the medial soleus. And so that might be a soft tissue technique, it might be acupuncture, it might be trigger point release, myofascial release, whatever it be. To treat that tissue is going to give you a change in the foot. So it's really about localising your touch, localising your treatments, the most effective treatments around the foot and ankle. There isn't a strong biomechanical bias to the day. We do consider biomechanics to a certain extent, but it's more about how does the foot function as a unit and what do you need to treat to improve that function. So it's all very functional based, very, very hands-on, and the key skills that you'll come away with at the end of it is you'll be able to differentiate anatomy much more effectively, you'll be able to handle a foot much more confidently, your range of treatments will be better but also more targeted, and also the final thing with respect to that touch is your sense of touch in terms of determining what's the most limiting factor will be much, much better. So that gives you a basic overview of what we'll be covering. For that breakdown of movements, we'll be obviously looking at plantar flexion, dorsiflexion, inversion and eversion, all the anatomy from the ankle down, and it's very, very hands-on day, very practical. Be good to see you there, and thanks very much for listening. Right, hello Carl.
Hello.
So we just finished the one-day foot and ankle course.
Yep.
What was it that you learned today that you didn't know before? What did you find most helpful?
It's my systematic approach, which I suppose we missed out in university a little bit.
Okay.
It's kind of nice to just to start with the basic palpation and the bony landmarks, and kind of work your way through in a systematic fashion. I think sometimes that's kind of missed at undergraduate level, and
Okay.
I suppose it makes probably easy problems even more complex. As a good starting point for any ankle assessment.
Okay. Easy problems more complex, or complex problems?
Complex problems easier.
Oh, phew.
Problems that were perhaps easy to begin with, but complex problems that were perhaps easy to begin with.
Cool. And you work in professional rugby?
I do indeed, yeah.
Grand. So with regards to what are the key things that you're going to take away that you know that you're going to apply on Monday?
To make, I suppose, my assessment and treatment of the ankle more specific, I think that's probably the main kind of take-home message.
And in terms of the modes and soft tissue work, anything there that...
Yeah, I think they're all things that I know and do already.
Yeah.
But I think just to make them more joint specific is
Cool.
is kind of the biggest take. Probably what I got most from the course.
Fantastic. Cool. And if someone was thinking to come along, would you...
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, definitely recommend it. Absolutely, wholeheartedly.
Great.
Enjoy the course.
That's brilliant. Thanks very much.
All right.
Fantastic.